To the girlies out there who are experiencing some gut issues, to the girlies who lift, who are experiencing bloating whenever they're eating any kind of whey protein product, let this video be your sign to try veganism. Welcome to Veganuary 2025. And this is coming from somebody who's been vegan for 3 years, who also lifts. Okay, over the past 3 years I've been learning an awful lot about hormone balance and everything to do with our health as women, and all of that research has really solidified that my choice to go vegan was the best one for me. And I've now become quite passionate about the fact that I think that all women should at least try veganism. And now this video is not to try and spread any kind of misinformation. I'm not trying to draw you into some cult. I know a lot of kind of clean eating, which we're going to get into, creators and or other kind of vegan creators on here, especially in the fitness industry, might try and lure you in with some confusing language and kind of some facts that are most likely going to be misinformation. But this is going to be like your no bullshit, real down-to-earth guide to why veganism could be really good for your gut health and your overall health, your skin, your energy levels, and why it's not going to ruin your goals in the gym. Okay, so if you needed a sign to try veganism, it is currently Veganuary. So really there's kind of like no time like present. If you've never seen my face before, hello, my name's Anna. Welcome to Anna is Random, which is kind of like my advice, self-development, and also chaos channel, where I talk about kind of all sorts of things. Like sometimes I talk about theatre, sometimes I'm talking about like helping to improve your self-confidence, but today we're going to be talking about veganism because, as I say, it's not something I talk about very often and I want to talk about it more. So yeah, here are my reasons why I think that you should try veganism as a woman, and also going to be talking about my experience over the last 3 years of veganism, which is going to be quite brutal, a little bit controversial sometimes, but it's going to be a fun ride. So I really hope that this video is helpful. Let's get into my points. First of all, I want to start off with a disclaimer that if you are experiencing kind of a more severe health issue, that in terms of like your female health, I would highly recommend going to see your doctor before you try anything like really severe, like a drastic change, especially in your diet, because that can kind of like shock the body in a way and can cause kind of some imbalances. If that's not you, then you're perfectly okay to try this. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because again, I'm not trained in any kind of medical field, or I'm not a nutrition expert. This is just from my personal experience, and I don't want to be spreading misinformation out there, as I've said. So just want to do that quick disclaimer about that. And also we are going to be talking about kind of the health benefits of going vegan and going vegan for the animals. This is not going to be an environment channel, okay? The UK contributes less than 1% to the overall kind of global greenhouse gas emissions, and also the top contributor to that is still the production of oil and gas and coal. And obviously, as we know, or as we should know, the top countries that are contributing to that are still China and India, not the UK. So if you've got any creator out here that is trying to push the agriculture industry, especially in the UK, is like the top contributor to climate change, is talking BS, I'm sorry, which I know is gonna rub people the wrong way, but the facts are the facts, okay? Now that's not saying that you shouldn't try veganism, but honestly, you need to get your facts straight when it comes to this, and just to try and avoid being drawn in by the echo chamber, because it is very, very easy to do if you've not got your head screwed on right. So just a little bit of background as to how I started to become vegan. Again, I went into this in more detail in my first video, which was, as I say, back in like 2023. So if you want more details on the kind of my story and everything, go to that video, because that was after my first year of being vegan. But the first thing that I started to cut out, well, the first kind of two things, was red meat when I went to university because I didn't like handling it. Then I stopped drinking cow's milk on my cereal because I noticed that I was experiencing kind of some gut issues and some bloating. I just didn't really feel that comfortable with it, which I say is kind of my first point, in that when I learned this, it was quite eye-opening for me. Obviously, the most common kind of intolerance when it comes to food, especially when it comes to anything from an animal, is lactose. Now obviously you might know quite a few people who are intolerant to lactose, and from an evolutionary standpoint, we haven't always eaten and drank dairy products. It has only been a thing in the last kind of few thousand years, which is why our bodies just haven't adjusted to that. We are not designed to be consuming dairy. And you can go and look that up. That's not me trying to, like, as I said, that is actually a fact. And even me saying that might be resonating with you a little bit, going, yeah, so that's probably why I feel weird after I've eaten like cheese or milk or something. So that's kind of my first thing that I would say if you're going to try and introduce something to maybe trying to help your health. Cut out dairy, see how you feel. And I know there's a bit of a craze at the moment about like grass-fed meat and dairy, because a lot of people think that it's kind of less saturated fat, and there's a whole thing around like clean eating and kind of food shaming at the moment, which I talked about in my ins and outs video for 2025 as one of my big outs. Can we stop doing this, please? Because processed food is not the devil, right? I think a lot of people have it in their heads that processed, like just anything that is classed as processed food, is inherently bad, which is just not the case at all. And I know that's kind of the main argument that a lot of non-vegans kind of push on veganism, is like, well, it's all processed food. And I'm like, okay, first of all, most food is processed in some way. Let's get that so crystal clear. Other foods obviously are more processed than others. So like super processed foods are kind of what are generally classed as like unhealthy, or like in that sort of sense. But to just use processed and any kind of added things into a product, it being inherently bad, is just completely wrong. And actually there's a lot of studies done out there, and you can even like just compare the packets of two different things, like one meat and one vegan protein, for instance, and you'll actually find that the meat has a higher saturated fat content than the vegan one, even though it might kind of look not the same like on the front of the packet. If you actually turn to the back and actually read the ingredients and the proper info on the nutrition, then you might actually find that the vegan is inherently less. At the same time that I went vegan, I also started the gym. I also started strength training. Now obviously when I started I wasn't lifting that heavy, but as the years have gone on, I've obviously started lifting more heavy weights and started improving, and started to get into supplements. And I mentioned this in my intro, and it kind of goes into kind of the cutting out dairy aspects. But the first thing that I heard a lot of, even though I've never actually experienced whey protein product, obviously being vegan, but a lot of people say that they bloat really badly from whey protein. And I would say to those people, especially women, try a vegan protein powder. The one that I use personally is the Vegan Protein Extreme from Protein Works, which has a mineral and vitamin blend in it, which can obviously help with hormone balances and is really, really important for women, especially iron. And that's coming from a girly who actually started taking a multivitamin and iron, like the supplement things, in the morning before I went vegan. I just had like a phase of feeling like kind of woozy in the head, like almost nauseous, but not like, but just in my head. It was a weird sensation. But since going vegan, and even though I still take that supplement each morning, I've actually not experienced that at all ever again. So, and I actually kind of credit that to the protein powder that I've started using, because I've always chosen one with that added sort of blend in it. So that just might be something to consider. And also when it comes to lifting and the gym and weightlifting, a lot of people will say you need stuff from animals in order to gain gains. I mean, I'm going to throw up some of my pump pictures on the screen and really just prove my point. You really don't. You really, really don't. Okay. And I can also kind of throw up some vegan creators that I follow on Instagram who also lift and kind of specialise more in kind of the higher protein side of things, who could also show you, especially if you're a woman, that you do not need animal-based protein to support your gains necessarily, okay? And when we talk about protein, we mean complete protein. What's a complete protein, you may ask? Okay, so protein is made up of amino acids, and in order for a protein to be classed as complete, it needs all of them. I think there's 9, or is there 12? I don't remember. I'll throw that up on the screen because I forget. The main example of a kind of whole food vegan protein would be tofu, which is obviously something that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but also the processed foods that we talked about before, which tends to be the kind of the meat substitute side of things. They are also formulated to be complete proteins. You'll often find that they're a blend of different things. It's often kind of either soy and wheat gluten with probably a bit of pea protein thrown in there as well, which does mean that they do become complete proteins. And obviously the protein powder that I mentioned earlier and protein bars will all have that kind of same blend to make sure that they are complete. And I briefly touched on hormone balance and things like that, which is quite a common problem for us as women, like, let's be honest. Like, you have one bad day in like one phase of your cycle and then your period's late by like 4 days. I mean, you know, like, it's quite a delicate balance. But just so fragile creatures, I mean, I don't know what to say. But the one thing I did find as well is consuming more plant products means that there's an increase in fibre and an increase in the vitamins and the minerals that we need to avoid that and to maintain, you know, healthy systems just throughout our body. But the hormone balance side of things is really, really important. I'm also going to chuck in some healthy fats in there. You know, it's a joke that a lot of vegans like peanut butter and avocados, which is not wrong. We love both. Personally, I'm more partial to the peanut butter than the avocados, but that's just me. I do also love an avocado, but nut butters though, peak. And obviously healthy fats do also support that hormone balance side of things as well as being brain food. By the way, if anybody's tried any of like the brain food range at Marks and Spencer's, do let me know what you think, because I'm really curious about that. And I think their energy balls with the almond butter in are actually vegan, and I need to track one down the next time I'm near in a Marks and Spencer's, but just let me know in the comments. But not only do these things support your hormone levels, but as I'm sure you know if you're on kind of like the foodie side of YouTube, gut health is everything. Having a healthy gut means that your skin will be better, your hair's gonna be better, literally everything in our body in terms of like how healthy it all is controlled by our gut health. And because of the increase in fibre and, as I say, all these different things that come with being more plant-based, you'll find that your energy levels are up and also your skin will improve. Which again kind of goes back to the lactose thing. You might find that if you try to cut out dairy that your skin will also improve as well if you're a sufferer of kind of hormonal acne. Just something to consider. And when I talked about kind of your period changing, obviously when it comes to that kind of side of things, if things have changed really drastically and have become really irregular just out of the blue, obviously do go and see your GP, go see your gynecologist, go see whoever you need to see. But as I mentioned, we are very fragile beings when it comes to this thing. So your period can be affected by things like change in sleep schedule, stress, and change in the frequency of your exercise. And obviously you've got to make sure that you're eating a balanced diet and eating enough as well so that you maintain a healthy period cycle. And just to go back to like the clean eating a second, because when I talk about like eating enough calories and making sure you're eating a balanced diet, that does not mean restriction. Going vegan or trying veganism does not mean you have to restrict yourself on anything. Especially if you live in the UK, we are so privileged at the moment, which means that we basically have an alternative to pretty much everything. And I really urge you to, as I say, stop letting, if you're on the kind of the clean eating side of things or like the health or detox side of the internet, please do not let that influence your decisions. Unfortunately, you find that quite a lot of the people on that side of the internet, as much as they seem kind of really cheerful and enthusiastic about kind of their clean eating and like how clean they eat, you will find in real life they are not very feminine and quite insufferable. Just from personal experience, okay? I'm not a hater, but in this case, it's a cult, okay? And especially after everything came out about Stephen Bartlett, if they still like that podcast, if they still like him, don't. That should be a massive red flag, okay? Now this is going to be a bit of a guilty admission, okay? But over my 3 years of being vegan, I have not been 100% perfect, okay? Again, I'm vegan more for the health benefits and the animals, not necessarily the environment. And with just the rural environment that I live in, unfortunately, there have been times where I have not been able to eat vegan. And I've had to kind of sway to eating something that might have egg or milk in it. If I can avoid milk, that is like the more ideal scenario. I'm okay with eating a bit of egg if I have to. But if you're in those situations, say it's a family gathering, say it's just something where you have no choice, do not starve yourself. As I say, this is not about restriction, and sometimes you just gotta be realistic, okay? We're not all in a position in life where 100% of the time you can avoid eating from an animal, and do not let other vegans shame you for that, because we're all human at the end of the day, and as long as you're trying your best and you're doing it for the right reasons, that is all that should matter. You know, I've got quite a lot in this video about how important it is to make sure as women that we are properly fueling ourselves, and we should never ever starve ourselves just because we can't eat 100% perfectly vegan. And again, especially if you live in the UK, we don't contribute that much, so you shouldn't feel that side of the shame either. As long as, you know, 99% of the time you're doing a good job with it and you're seeing the health benefits, you should not be beating yourself down for that 1%. If this video helps you and you think that, yeah, I think I could try going vegan, I mean, it is Veganuary, as I said, so now is like the perfect take time. I will leave some creators like on the screen and in the description that you can go and follow. I know personally I'm part of the Those Vegan Guys community on Facebook, which, as much as I don't really use Facebook a lot, that is the one place I do go quite a lot, and they're just great guys in general, as well as all the other creators that I've mentioned somewhere. Do let me know if you have any questions about my experience or any other tips that or advice that you might want to know about in the comments. And yeah, as I say, I hope this video helped you. Good luck on your journey. As I say, going vegan is not going to ruin your gains if you are a gym girly. I wish you all the best, and I will see you guys in my next one.